It's best to repot this plant if you see roots. Now you forget words. Nice. Hello everyone, I'm Adina from plantsbutbetter, and today I'll be talking about, hold on a sec, this beautiful plant right here, Syngonium Neon Robusta. And as you can see, this one is pretty tiny because it was actually grown in tissue culture. I love this plant because it's a pink, cheap plant. That's right. And pink plants are usually quite expensive and they are not accessible for everyone, but this one is. And it's super easy to care for as well. So I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's super friendly for beginners and you'll find out why in this video. Let's talk about light. So my Syngonium is a mix between more pink leaves and more regular pinkish leaves, a bit more green than pink. But that's because I kept it in medium light. If you want your leaves to be pink, like radiant, amazing pink, you need to place it into a bright, indirect light. And if you don't have that in your home, you can help it with a grow light. Moving on to watering. This Syngonium likes its soil to be a bit moist. But that doesn't mean soaking wet. During summer, I water my plant maybe once a week. If you have really hot summers, you can do it even twice a week. And during winter, I water it maybe once every 14 days. But then again, if your home is warmer, you can do it a bit more often. Moving on to temperature. This plant prefers average temperature, so something around 23 to 25 degrees Celsius is great. Please don't go lower than 15 degrees Celsius because they don't like it. Almost every houseplant is sensitive to cold. That's why they stay inside. Colder temperatures will cause rot. And yeah, that's it. That's why you don't want your plants to stay in cold temperatures. It's just common sense. What about humidity? This plant is quite adaptable. I find it quite friendly. I would say average to higher humidities are best. What do I mean by higher? Usually Syngoniums are attracted, or maybe spider mites are attracted to Syngonium. And spider mites don't like humidity, so that's why you should keep your humidity a bit higher. Something around 50% or more is great. Higher humidity will promote aerial roots. And those are important to propagation, in which I will talk about it in a bit. But right now, let's move on to fertilizer. You can feed your Syngonium once a month during growing season, and in the winter, if your plant is dormant, you should stop fertilizing it. If your plant doesn't grow, you don't need to feed it. Again, common sense. I use a bit less fertilizer than it's recommended on the package because this plant is pink, and in some cases, if you use a lot of fertilizer, it can turn your plant back to green. I haven't tried it, so I don't know if this is the case with Syngonium Neon Robusta as well, but I would be mindful about that. I use an NPK of 10-10-10 or 20-20-20, and I make sure to not over fertilize it ever because of the pink. Let's move on to substrate. So I have my Syngonium in a mix containing cocoa coir, some perlite and some pine barks in equal quantities. This is a very lightweight mix that will help the water drain fast, and that's an example that I would recommend you. Whatever you choose, please don't use just regular potting soil because very often that's pretty heavy on the roots, so you will need at least some perlite to help those roots breathe. They need that oxygen as well to stay healthy, but basically if your favorite mix is very lightweight, that is great. Moving on to plastic versus terracotta. I would choose plastic for this one because these plants are grown in tissue culture and they are usually pretty compact, and if you choose a small terracotta pot, it will help the water evaporate faster than a bigger terracotta pot, and that may be a problem if you forget to water your plants. But whatever you choose, please make sure you have drainage holes because those are pretty important for the health of your roots. Moving on to repotting. It's best to repot this plant if you see the roots coming out of the drainage holes. I have a very tiny one right here, but it's just not ready yet. They don't mind if they are a bit crowded, so don't worry about repotting too often. If it's time to move out, choose a pot slightly bigger, not double the size, because the roots will not accommodate well in a shitload of substrate. And the roots are also very fragile, so it's best to repot your plant during summertime or growing season, and in that way they will recover a bit faster. It's not 100% necessary, but I would recommend it. Let's talk about propagation, and in this case I would say that you can do it by stem cuttings. You can place them into water, wait for the new roots to come, and choose your favorite lightweight mix and you're good to go. Moving on to pests, because this plant can get spider mites. I forgot if I mentioned that on the humidity segment. And spider mites don't like humidity, so that's why you should keep your humidity a bit higher. So if I'm repeating myself, don't mind me. I didn't have any problems with this specific plant, but with the regular Syngonium I did have spider mites, and I would say that this plant can get it as well. So it's best to check it every time you water it, because prevention is the best medicine. And last but not least, what about toxicity? Because unfortunately, this plant is not pet friendly. It could cause irritation and other nasty side effects, and I would keep it away from any beautiful cat or dog. This is it with the care video. If you have any questions about it, or maybe tips and tricks that I didn't mention in this video, you can leave them in the comments. And until next time, don't forget to take care of yourself and your plants.